So Carlos, I love the conversation, but unfortunately, obviously, we're running out of time. So let's hear a little bit about you. So how did you? So you have, like, you have a laundry. You have all these different brands, unrelated. So how does? Why do you do this? I mean, why do you start these businesses? What's driving you?
So, well, what drove me and got me into that is just 15 years ago, I didn't, I, I'm still kind of shocked, but I didn't know that Amazon would still be a thing in 15 years. So the idea was to take what I felt was a healthy percentage of the profits at that time from the business and start other businesses. And I had this, you have different mentors throughout the years. And one of them then was there was a big thing on just different revenue streams. And you couple that with some ignorance to business. And next thing you know, you have a whole bunch of unrelated businesses together, which have served well. Like if you want to pull equity or you want to pull and you need to like rob Peter to pay Paul, which you want to avoid. But in some cases, it's what saved my bacon. So I wound up with all these different businesses, and then here we are, Amazon's still in the game. So there was no. I would advise people not to do that, actually, um, and instead just really stay in your lane. Quadruple down on what you're good at. If you're just starting, don't quit your day job. I pretty much paid myself barely, I mean, almost nothing off my businesses until I exited. Like I didn't really make any meaningful money off a business until I exited any of them. So yeah, Amazon private label or starting your brand is not synonymous with good cash flow or
Oh,
great cash flow. So um yeah, I started these different things because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. And now here we are, 15 years later, and we got a lot of different businesses. To be fair, I have a massive team of virtual assistants and domestic employees. So most of those businesses, short of coming on a show or mentioning it an aside to a buddy, I don't mess with on the day to day. The what gets my attention on the day to day would be our live insect brand, would be uh, a podcast of my own, would be the community, um, and doing new things. Like I love the trying new things, and I'm one of those people that is fortunately a successful seller and also loves to create content. That rare bird. So like I like marrying those two together in different opportunities that I find, and that's the only thing I've been 100% successful at, like product selection and that ideation phase. Like that's my strong suit.
but I mean, what I want to know is not why you became an Amazon seller, but why, as Carlos, why do you want to do this? I mean, why? I mean, you could have been a painter, or you could have been a
Uh,
professional in a company, a vice president of whatever, but instead,
yeah,
an entrepreneur. That's what I'm trying to understand.
yeah.
What's
I
driving?
I think I might have been forced, if you will, because I'm an elementary school dropout actually, and I come from a very very abusive home, and as a kid, so I found myself, as anyone would in their young adult years, as all my friends around me, they're going on their paid leaves and they're talking about 401ks, and I was a dairy clerk at a local supermarket called Publix, and I was delivering subs and I was selling cigars, and I was like, wait a minute, this my life is not really screaming great marriage opportunity to start a family to other people. So I had this expensive ex-girlfriend at the time, and I was just like, I kept trying to do these side hustles to get her stuff, and I stumbled on eBay and very quickly made more on eBay than I was working at, those jobs, which don't pay you a lot. So I quit. And then I was like, oh, let me do this full time. And first 2 years, I was like, taxes are for other people, not me. And I learned the hard way in doing this. And just so happened that during that time, Amazon was really courting eBay sellers to try this new FBA thing. And I was like, okay. I sent all my dead inventory that wouldn't move on eBay over there, and it just flew in a day. So it was the only thing I feel like I had really succeeded in life. And before that, I was like, I'm going to be a video editor. right? Like I'm gonna be a video editor. And I realized there's like an art to that you got to have besides just knowing how to navigate the tools. So when I finally succeeded and then almost rapidly had an exit, I was like, well, I think I've failed at everything else that I've tried, but I'm really good at this. So I just went all in. I guess that's why I'm not like a CMO somewhere or anything like that. But hi, I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now. But having said that, I'm very happy with where I am now. Look, I'm on the show. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, listen, if you didn't have the education that most of these high-paying jobs or any paying job really require, then obviously you were kind of pushed to be either a, a loser or a winner, because
Yeah.
whichever way you have to fight, and what you're gonna fight with is your creativity, your intellect, or that's all you have. There's nothing else to tap into, and looks like that's what you did. And also maybe I don't know why you would feel like oh, it's not for me, like, selling, working for publics, in publics and then selling. So why not go for something more glamorous, so to speak?
I guess I didn't really have high goals. I don't feel like I was ever that driven. I, that's a great question because I've not thought of it. So I'm just like replying, with whatever comes to mind. I just, that
Was that
seemed like
because you didn't think that you could achieve those?
it's very possible. I definitely didn't think I was cut for that. As a matter of fact, I remember my first going all in on this Alibaba order when I went like early days Alibaba. Family and friends pulled together $82,000 and they're like, let's support him going full time. And I went all in on this Alibaba random order and the guy stole everything from me. Like I just sent him this money, stole everything. And the week leading up to that, I remember them using the words like entrepreneur, online seller. Keep in mind also, like 15 years ago, if you told someone like what you did was sold online or you sold on Amazon, it was seen as very juvenile or that was more of like a summer hobby, not
Right.
a solid career choice. So it's not, some of it was probably insecurities that I had. And the other ones were probably like, don't yell too loud. Like nowadays, I sell on Amazon. That's a badge of honor. I create brands. And back then, it was something you probably said in hushed tones. So nobody pointed at you and told you why that was a bad business decision long term and why it wouldn't work. And I wasn't in a mental state to really defend it because I didn't know either.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but look what happened. That insecurity got you to push harder and learn and do the things. So, I
Yeah.
mean, this is I hear from time to time. You see people on these talk shows, and the guy says, "Oh, I had dyslexia." So, in fact, that was a good thing. In fact, you know who? Barbara Corcoran.
Oh, yeah.
Barbara
Yeah.
Corcoran was one of those. I think she mentioned she had dyslexia. So and I'm gonna end by quoting Michael Caine. So Michael Caine was being interviewed, and as a young actor, he was on set one day, and there was this scene that they were gonna shoot, and there was like a big, huge trash can right in front of him. It gets dropped right in front of him as he's in the middle of the scene, and then of course he stumbles, and there is a senior actor, well known. I don't remember the name, and he says, "What's wrong? Why are you huffing and puffing?" And he says, "Well, don't you see, all these things going on the set today?" And he says, "Hey, kid, use the difficulty." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're an actor, no? You're supposed to show emotions. So you've got a difficulty in front of you. Use the difficulty to express your frustrations, your everything." So, and that was a great thing that I thought, use the difficulty. And you did exactly that. You used the difficulty.